About 10 years ago, I had one of those long days that just drains you. I picked up my son from school. We were headed to the grocery store, and normally where we turn left, we decided to go home instead, and we drove straight down Monroe Road. And sitting in the middle of the road was this little black thing, and the cars just kept driving around it. And as we got closer, we realized that it was a kitten. So I pulled my car kind of parallel to shield it from the traffic. And as I got out of my car, this kitten walked straight over towards me, and it lifted both its front paws up into the air onto my leg as if it wanted to be picked up. And you know how people joke about the universal cat distribution system? Well, apparently it decided that we were the chosen family that day. We tried to do the responsible thing and take the kitten to a no-kill shelter that was closed for the day, and we already had a cat and 3 dogs, and we definitely didn't want another animal in the house. But this little kitten stayed the night with us, and we just fell in love. He was so tiny, probably about 6 weeks old. And the next day we took him to the vet, and they asked what his name was, and we said Mr. Socks because he had little white feet. And the vet laughed and said, "Nope, you're gonna have to pick something else." So we named him after the road where we found him, Monroe. And I can honestly say that he's one of the sweetest, most loving cats I've ever known. His picture's on the cover of the podcast. So he's a black cat, and he's not unlucky at all. Welcome to Wildly Unplug, sharing stories of nature, conservation, and creativity. Discover what develops when you unplug and step outdoors. Welcome to Wildly Unplug, the podcast where we reconnect with nature through art, storytelling, and creative exploration. I'm Connolly, and with Friday the 13th coming up, I thought it would be the perfect time to talk about something spooky. Not ghosts, not horror movies, but animals. Because sometimes some of these creatures that we fear the most are actually the most important animals in the natural world. But where did Friday the 13th even come from? Superstition around it goes back centuries. The number 13 has long been considered unlucky in Western culture. Some historians trace it back to Norse mythology, where a chaotic 13th guest disrupted a gathering of the gods. In Christianity, the Last Supper had 13 people at the table, and the following Friday was associated with misfortune. But as a Christian, I can tell you it's actually a good thing. He saved us. Over time, the combination of Friday and the number 13 became linked with bad luck, mystery, and things that go bump in the night. And interestingly, humans have done the same thing with animals. Creatures that move differently, look unusual, or come out at night are often labeled as creepy, sinister, or dangerous. But many of these animals are actually critical to keeping ecosystems balanced and healthy. Let's talk about some of these animals, starting small with insects, often getting a bad reputation because of pests like mosquitoes, but insects are the backbone of ecosystems. They pollinate plants, decompose organic matter, and serve as food for birds, fish, reptiles, amphibians, and mammals, including humans. Without insects, many of the fruits and vegetables that we enjoy today just simply wouldn't exist. Next up, we got snakes. As Indiana Jones said, why snakes? They're the most feared animals on earth, or some of them at least. Their silent movement and venomous reputation has made them villains in myths and stories for centuries. But the vast majority of snakes are harmless, and they play a crucial role in controlling rodent populations. By keeping rodents in check, snakes help protect crops, reduce diseases, and maintain ecological balance. Up next, we have cephalopods. In the oceans, there are animals like squid and octopus that have been portrayed as sea monsters for centuries. Think the Kraken. But cephalopods are among some of the most intelligent invertebrates on the planet. They can change colors instantly, solve puzzles, and communicate using complex body patterns. They also play an essential role in marine ecosystems as both predators and prey. Dun. Up next, we have sharks. They get some of the worst reputations. Movies and sensational headlines have portrayed them as ruthless killers, but sharks are apex predators, and they help maintain healthy ocean ecosystems. They remove weak or sick animals that help prevent certain species from becoming too dominant. Statistically speaking, humans are far more dangerous to sharks than sharks are to humans. Plus, you're more likely to get struck by lightning than you are ever to be bitten by a shark. I know from experience. Vultures have been associated with death and decay, but they're among nature's cleanup crew. By consuming carcasses quickly, vultures help prevent the spread of disease that could affect both wildlife and humans alike. In areas where vulture populations have declined, diseases and outbreaks often increase. Up next, we have frogs. Sometimes they get labeled as slimy or strange, but amphibians are incredibly important indicators of environmental health. Because frogs have permeable skin, they are extremely sensitive to pollution and environmental changes. If frogs disappear from an ecosystem, it's often an early warning sign that something is terribly wrong. Bats are often portrayed as creatures of darkness and vampires in folklore, but bats are actually architecturally heroes. A single bat can eat thousands of insects in a single night, helping farmers to control pests naturally and by reducing the need for pesticides. Some bats also help to pollinate plants and disperse seeds that help forests regenerate. Now, alligators look imitating with their prehistoric appearance, but they're actually keystone species in wetland ecosystems. Their nesting and digging behaviors create small wetlands called gator holes, which provide refuge for fish, birds, and amphibians during the dry seasons. Entire ecosystems benefit from their presence. We could talk about a ton more animals, but we'll end today where we started, on black cats. For centuries, cats have been linked to witches, superstition, and bad luck. During the Middle Ages, in Europe, people believed witches could transform into black cats, or that these animals were supernatural companions. But in many parts of the world, black cats are actually considered to be symbols of good luck and prosperity. And for me, whenever someone mentions a black cat being unlucky, I think about Monroe, a tiny kitten sitting in the middle of the road, and how one unexpected moment changed our lives in the best way possible. So when we think of cool animals, we often think of lions, dolphins, or eagles. And some of the most fascinating and ecologically important creatures are the ones people misunderstand the most. And I hope this podcast has helped to change your mind just a little bit. Nature doesn't create villains, it creates balance. And sometimes the animals that make us uncomfortable are the ones quietly doing the most important work behind the scenes. The next time that you see a snake, a bat, or a vulture, or even a black cat crossing your path, maybe it isn't bad luck at all. Maybe it's just nature doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Thank you for spending a little bit of time unplugging with me today. I hope you have a very lucky Friday the 13th. If you've enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who might see animals a little bit differently after listening. If you'd like to learn how to unplug more, you can download the guide in the link, and sometimes the wild isn't very far away at all. Sometimes it's in your backyard, right in front of us. We just have to take a closer look. Until next time, get outside, see what develops, and stay wild. Wildly Unplugged podcast is a production of Wild Development Studio. The views, opinions, and statements expressed by individuals during Wild Development Studio's productions do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Wild Development Studio or its affiliates. Participation in any activities, expeditions, or adventures discussed or promoted during our content may involve inherent risks. It is strongly advised that individuals conduct thorough research, seek professional guidance, and take all necessary precautions before engaging in such activities or venturing into wilderness areas. Wild Development Studio, its representatives, or employees shall not be held responsible for any injury, loss, damage, accident, or unforeseen incident that may occur as a result of participating in activities inspired by or discussed in our content. By choosing to engage with our content or act upon any information provided, individuals do so at their own risk and discretion.